I want to take a few minutes to walk you through how unsubscribe links work in Smartlead, how you can use them to remove prospects from your campaigns, and then how you can use OutboundSync to not only add them to a list and opt them out of a subscription type in HubSpot, but also sync that block back, if you want to Smartlead, to the block list to make sure that they don't get contacted again. Now, I want to make a distinction that this is not the only way to do this. You can use lead categorization in Smartlead, and you can use those reply based opt outs where you'd include in a signature like PS, if you're not interested in hearing from me anymore, let me know, tell me no thanks, something like that. And you could use categorization, and you could actually do a similar process that we're going to show today with Outbound Sync with the HubSpot synchronization between the two platforms. But for now, this video, I'm going to focus specifically on the links, how to use them, what they look like when they're clicked, and then how to pass the data back and forth. So first, we've got an example. Because we're using Outbound Sync, we want to have our webhook attached to a client in this case. This could also be a user webhook, and we want to include the lead unsubscribed webhook event. We've got our campaign built, and in the campaign settings, I just want to flag there's a couple things here. So we want to make sure that we are tracking link clicks and that we are sending in HTML. In other words, that these two boxes are not checked, because those are necessary for how the unsubscribe link works in Smartlead. And I'm going to show you that link in a second. First, I just want to show you where you can add the unsubscribe message, and then below this is an unsubscribe header tag. But whatever you put here is going to be the text that Smartlead puts for its opt-out unsubscribe inside of the email that you're sending. Now I'm going to take a step back and just show you the sequence. This is what it looks like in the sequence editor. If you have that unsubscribe setting turned on with the text, it will automatically put it at the bottom of your email, unless you choose to put that unsubscribe text earlier in the email, which you can do. It doesn't have to be at the bottom. You could put it in the middle of a paragraph or something like that. When you go to review your email, unless it's sent, it won't be shown here. And if you send a test, it won't be shown until or after the email sends. Then the rendering shows what actually went out of Smartlead. And so in this case, you can see the link. Now I'm hovering over this, and just in the bottom of my browser, and I'm going to show you what it looks like in a second on the email client side in Gmail, it's previewing using the custom tracking domain that we have attached to this account. And so that's definitely a best practice. If you're going to be doing the unsubscribes through link clicks from Smartlead, it's definitely a best practice to have your tracking domain turned on, a custom tracking domain set up. Now, our campaign has gone live. We've included the unsubscribe link in the email. You can see this email here at the bottom. And then when that email is clicked, this is what it looks like. It's loading the tracking link here, unsubscribe, and then this is a unique identifier that's going to fingerprint back to the initial lead that you sent to in the first place. So this is what the lead sees. They are not going to go to like a subscription preferences page where they can uncheck multiple types of subscriptions and things like that. They will only be shown this simple page. And then from here, this is going to generate a webhook event that's going to roll over to HubSpot. So let's talk about what that looks like now. In HubSpot, we have set up a workflow that's listening for that lead unsubscribe event. And so this is a timeline event, and we're using this integration filter in OutboundSync to trigger when that lead unsubscribe event occurs, when it's known. And when it is known, what we're doing here is we are actually adding this contact to a subscription type. Now, this isn't the only way to do it, but I think this is a pretty nice way to manage your opt-outs inside of HubSpot in a really clean, straightforward way using subscription types. And then we're going to use that subscription type to update a list, and that list is going to be how we make the block list happen. So we've got a list built here just called unsubscribes. And in this case, we're using that email subscription opted out of one-to-one. This could also be cold outreach, outbound campaigns, etc. There's another way of doing this, because OutboundSync will also write to a contact property called last unsubscribe time. So if that were known, you could also build the list in that way. Either way, it's going to show up here. This is our contact. This is the one that clicked the unsubscribe link earlier in our email. And I'm going to show you the actual contact record really quick so you can see the exact history here. You can see that on that webhook event that occurred. You can see all of this workflow activity being synced here, the subscription change, the list membership change. And this is how we are synchronizing the unsubscribe status between the two platforms. Now, to take it one step further, if we want to do that unsubscribe or opt out all the way through back to Smartlead to the block list, we're going to use OutboundSync's block list feature, where we select that list in HubSpot, this one that we were just looking at. We select our API key in Smartlead. We select the type of blocking, in this case, individual email address. A domain level block would be more for like customers, competitors, suppliers. That would be like you never want to email anybody from that company again for whatever reason. But that's, I don't think, appropriate in this case. And then if you're an agency, we have the selector for which Smartlead client account you want to do. Now let's go back to Smartlead and see what this looks like on the Smartlead side. When a lead, and this is, this has been triggered, in this case, the blocking has been triggered by this opt out, right? So this isn't outbound sync specific. What I'm about to show you next is. But just remember, the first part of this video, everything here, this is just really kind of a 101 on how this part of Smartlead works. And hopefully that's helpful for you. Hopefully you get a sense of how unsubscribe links work in Smartlead now after watching this, whether or not you're going to this next part of the video or this final part. So when you go to that lead, you can see it's been blocked because of the unsubscribe click. And then with outbound sync, we are also, in this case, choosing to add it to the global block list so that we will never email this contact ever again across any campaign, as long as that client is selected. So let me know what you think. I hope this is helpful. What I'd like to do is I'd like to do a follow-up video showing how to do this through those replies of the email, the prospect saying no thanks, opt out, unsubscribe, just by writing back instead of clicking something, for a few reasons, but I think the main one being deliverability. And I think that's pretty standard practice these days, is to give that text-based opt-out. But a lot of companies will do links, and this is how that works.